What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics. Today we got a reaction to Turin Breaks and their album, The Optimist LP, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter, and patron of the channel, Ian. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below, the patron link on the end screen, running a free trial. Come check it out. We super appreciate it. All right, I've never even heard of the Turin Breaks. So Ian, as he often does, brings me stuff that I've either never heard of or never heard the album by a great artist. So they're an English band comprising originally a duo of Ollie Knights and Gail Perijanian and long-term collaborators Rob Allam and Eddie Meyer. They had a UK top 5 hit in 2003 with their song Painkiller. Since starting out in 1999, they've sold around 1 million records worldwide. They're currently signed to Cook Vinyl, and they got 9 studio albums. This one, The Optimist LP, is their full-length debut album. They had a couple EPs, as is often the case in the UK. Released in 2001. The Door and The Road, 2 songs on here, were previously released on the Door EP and were re-recorded, say that quickly, for this album. The album was nominated for the Mercury Prize, a very well thought of. Pitchfork 7.7 out of 10, NME 9 out of 10, and Q listed it as one of the 50 best albums of 2001. Ian said, released on the 1st January 2001, this album received an enthusiastic music press reception and went into the UK charts, peaking at number 12. All right, if you've never been with this before, the music won't be in the video, but it'll be a Vimeo link below. So click on that and follow along with us. Let's kick it off with the first song. All right, we're going to start this album out. You see it below with Feeling Oblivion. Ian gives a comment and a grade for every one of his songs on the album, which is always a fantastic thing. Ian says, great opening track, really sets out the Turin Break sound with a haunting opening and vivid scene setting in the first verse. Beautiful chorus makes this my second favorite track on the album, a 9 out of 10. I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Ian. Wow, fantastic guitar melody on that. Right, guitar work is great. Liked the sound, the vocal quality. It took me a second to get used to Ollie's voice, but really, really like the feel of this, man. I think I'm going to really like this album. I love this type of music. So pretty good vocals there too as well. All right, now we're going to go to the second track. We got Underdog, in parentheses, Save Me. Ian says, and it gets better with the second track and their first single to break into the top 40, hitting number 39. Slightly less low-budget video then, but nice to see the first EP single, The Door. 9.5 out of 10, and we are going to watch said video. Underdog with the Save Me in parentheses, which really the song should be called Save Me, right? But I guess that's why it's on there. Our man Ollie cannot stay upright. Gail keeps trying to save him. Finally saves him in that cop car at the end, but really well done song, man. I could see why this was also a hit. Now we go to the third track, Emergency 72. Ian says the fourth and last single from the album, a more chilled and laid back song with a simple video, 8 out of 10. And of course, we're going to watch said video. All right, definitely a much more chilled song, Emergency 72, but I mean, they just sang 72 over and over, and then it just sticks in your head, right? Well, what numbers are good combination? 72, 72. It's in my head now, just over and over again. It was good. I like the first 2 songs better because I thought the guitar melodies on the first 2 songs were better than this, but this was really well done as well. Next up, we have Future Boy. Ian says, another cracking song that evokes strong memories for me from friendships in the early 2000s that fell apart. Don't most of them, right? Listening to this leaves me with a bittersweet feeling that means I can't really enjoy the song the same way I did when I first experienced it. One of the best tracks on the album, 9 out of 10. I talk about this all the time on this channel. Nothing like music to take us back to a time and place. Most of the time that's happy, but sometimes it's difficult, as Ian conveys here. And I have songs that I know are great, but they take me back to certain memories that I just don't really want to revisit. That one had a nice build. Ollie has a way of singing these words that just stick in your head. Future boy. The first verse has a line. The syphilis is a bitch, but contracting HIV is much worse. So some interesting writing on this one as well. And next up, we have The Door. Ian says, low-budget video from their first single, re-released before the album from the limited edition vinyl, The Door EP. The song only reached 67, was a solid song, 8 out of 10. And yeah, you guessed it. We're going to watch the vid. All right, I can only imagine being in this time, maybe going out, having a few drinks on a weekend night, club, wherever, bar, pub, come home, turn on your MTV, and that comes off. What a wild scene at the start. Dressed up, the kids look freaky. You'd be like, what the hell is going on here? I was thinking that, and I haven't been drinking, boys and girls, but a good song. It took me a while to get into the song. because I was so distracted from the video. Yes, it's low budget, but it serves its purpose, right? It wanted to draw you in from the second it came on. Like, it made you want to watch it, and that's exactly what you got to do. Next up, we got the 6th track, State of Things. Ian says, another great song to round off the first side of the album. If they can keep this quality going, then this album is heading to the heights. 8.5 out of 10. All right, State of Things, really well done again. Good guitar melody. You know, these guys just, I like the sound, man. More chilled out on this one, but still really well done. Finishing off that fantastic first side. Now we're going to go to side 2, which we open up with By TV White. Ian says, Sally, the next song is so chilled and almost dull. Not horrible, but could have been left out in my opinion. 5.5 out of 10. Okay, I don't want to be unduly influenced by Ian, but I'm telling you right now, yeah, this song was by far the worst song so far. It's not horrible. It also suffers with the fact that it's really tied for the second longest song on here. And then I know what they were trying to do with the By TV Light. You hear the chatter of the TV throughout it. It kind of gets annoying to me after a little while. But, you know, I mean, it's fine. There's a few lines in the first verse that are kind of nonsensical as well. I mean, not horrible, but it's a 50-minute album, so you could have cut this one and been fine. But, you know, I mean, it's not horrible. Next up, we have Slack. Ian says, more up-tempo electric guitar feel gets the album moving again. I can't help feeling the decisions on track order. Loaded the first half of the album with lots of the bangers. 7 out of 10, so he's kind of giving away part of his feeling for the rest of the album. But I will tell you, that's the way it was done back in the day. This would have been a CD offering, and that's kind of the way it was done. Right? They figure you're going to listen to the first few tracks, first several tracks. So let's make those bangers, and you're going to think that the whole album is great. You're going to have a more positive view of the artist. So I get the strategy to it. Not a bad song. We did need the uplifting tempo, so I'm glad they got that in there. Next up, we have a short one. We have Starship. Ian says, laid back and chilled song that wanders and meanders around the acoustic guitar with the occasional chime. Not a skip, one that grows on me. Not one you seek out, but get a warm, comfortable feeling when it comes around. The next album plays 7 out of 10. I know exactly what he's talking about with that. Unfortunately for me, and maybe for you, this is going to be our first listen. All right, Starship. Definitely low-key. 2 verses. They don't seem to make a bit of sense. It almost seems like an incomplete song they tried to throw on here. I mean, not bad. Except we have The Road, Ian says, with echoes of feeling oblivion, the first track. The song goes on a bit too long. Still has flashes of brilliance. Has a place on the album as it explores the melodies already experienced earlier in the album. Doesn't quite take me anywhere new enough to make it worth listening to. For 5.5 minutes, 6.5 out of 10. The Road. I mean, a pretty good song. I mean, a little bit like Feeling Oblivion. I don't hear that as much, but here's the thing, right? I think if it was earlier on in the album, I may think higher of it. When you front load an album, like I said, there's so many albums in music history that way, and I'll get into that. I'll get into my feelings and all that when I give you my overall grade. But when that happens is you set this bar so high, and then when things aren't quite as good as that, you start going, oh, well, this is not that, you know, so it kind of tricks you up when you're analyzing these things, but a pretty good song. And so we have Mind Over Money. It says falsetto to the forefront for this, the third single release from the album. Starts out with a Pink Floyd-like minimalistic opening before the acoustic guitar kicks in and the sound develops into a rich experience, switching between the high verses. Listening to it now, it also has a bit of Radiohead feel and the more expansive chorus. The record company obviously felt it was worth investing more money in this, the third single video, and we're rewarded with getting to 31 in the UK charts, the best performing single from the album, an 8 out of 10. And you guessed it, we're watching the vid. All right, Mind Over Money. If I'd have been Ollie and Gail when they pitched this to me or showed me the storyboard or whatever, the whole wind part, it would have been miserable filming that, right? That is misery when you're out there in there. But a good song, great guitar melody, everything sounded good. Definitely so far for me, the keeper on side 2. Now we got 2 tracks left, sort of, which I'll get into, but we got the title track, The Optimist. Ian said, finishing with the title track, I like their style. A curious set of acoustic instruments make for a laid-back ending. 6.5 out of 10, but, you know, it's 2001, so it's not the 90s, but it's almost the 90s, so don't worry. We got a little surprise for you after this track. All right, The Optimist. A lot of the same with what this album's been. Really nice acoustic guitar. Nice vocals on there, a little harmonizing at times. Draws you in. But we're not done. Because we have 3 days old. Ian says, they're not quite finished as we have the ubiquitous hidden track. Heavily distorted vocals with some tom-toms. I can see why they hit it. I'm not bothered and bend it. 3 out of 10. At least most of the time on Spotify. Not always, though. they separate it like this, so it's just a separate track. Sometimes they make you wait through it, but at least it's this way. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on 3 Days Old. Yeah, pretty much a waste of time, but here's the thing with the hidden tracks, right? You're not going to hide a fantastic track, but it was kind of the thing to do. So you had the discussion like, well, let's not go overboard. Let's put a lot of work into this because we don't want it to be anything because what? 70% of the people never waited around to hear it? I don't know. It's just going to be a guess. So, all right, let's get to my favorite tracks. Honorable mention, Emergency 72, Future Boy, and The Door. My faves are going to be Mind Over Money, the only track on the second side to make an appearance. Underdog, Save Me. And my favorite is actually the first track, Feeling Oblivion. All right, before we get to my overall score, let's get Ian's final thoughts. He said, Turin Breaks have been a moderately successful group with popular tours and well-selling albums, but never made the big time. This album's pretty consistent, and at 52 minutes doesn't feel too long considering there are 13 tracks, but cutting by TV Light and the hidden track would have improved it. The album needed one more cracking song to bolster the second side, in my opinion. I agree with exactly everything you just said there. Turin Breaks have an instantly recognizable sound, which they rarely deviate from. If you like the folk, rock, slide guitar sound, then this is an easy album to get into. The first half of this album is world-class. Doesn't quite keep it up through to the end on the second half, except Mind Over Money. I absolutely agree with that. Still a brilliant first album that they go on to improve on a couple years later with 2003's Ether Song. Overall, an 8 out of 10. It seems like Ian and me are on the same page so often when I do one of his albums, especially lately, but I just echo everything he said. Side 1 is fantastic. Side 2 is lacking, but I don't think it's as lacking as much as if you never heard it and just jumped in to side 2 and listened to it. You'd probably have a better opinion of the songs. Like I said, side 1 sets the bar so high that everything seems like a letdown that's not at that level because it's banger after banger on side 1. But I totally get why record companies and groups did this when they sequenced albums, because most people don't, and I mean, nowadays they definitely don't, but back then even didn't have the attention span to listen to a whole album. So they just throw it on and get through the first few tracks, and then they go do something else. And then when they throw it on again, what are they going to do? They're just going to go back and start over again, because that's what 90% of people do. You even see it on Spotify with the listens on albums, even for songs that aren't hits. It's always the first few, and then whatever the hit is are way higher than the ones later on, because people don't stick around. So I get it. And I'm going to be right there with Ian. I'm going to be at an 8.0 out of 10. It's a very, very good album, very consistent. No skips. I mean, I'm not even counting the hidden track, but, a couple songs, they're all right, but a really good album from a group I never heard of. So let me know what you think of this album down below, your favorite songs, and what is your favorite from them. Thanks again to Ian for bringing this one. Until next time, guys, I will see you.